Welcome to the show. Today is day 3 of me doing these shows, and I am very excited because I love to do these shows. Getting kind of amped up, man. Getting amped up with the season, with the bye week and everything, trying to really maximize my potential. So I have decided to create a new channel. It's already created. It probably will go live today. It is called the Detroit Sports Syndicate, and we're going to be talking about everything over there. What's up, Coach Plays? What's going on, man? What's going on, my brother? Good to see you, man. We're going to be talking about everything over there. I'm going to try to get some people to talk Pistons, Lions, Tigers, Michigan football, all that stuff. Anything that revolves around the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, and also just general sports as well when that comes into play. So today, man, today's conversation, we're going to start off. Our target time is like a half hour, and we'll see how this thing goes if we have more people coming in. But before we get started into one of the premier topics of today's show is the Detroit Lions. They signed a kicker yesterday. This guy's name is Sam Ficken. Signed a kicker to the practice squad. And this whole situation with Ficken is weird because he has some history with, what's up, Dave? He has some history with Rosas and the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs that's been kicking lately. He's got some with Randy Bullock, and it's all of this connection that he has. The Lions are having trouble finding a kicker. OBJ to Kansas City. Well, I did see that he said the Rams didn't offer what he wanted. So I did see that in Missouri as far as Odell Beckham. He was on the Titans for a season, a lot of potential, good leg. He simply got hurt with us. Yeah, that's what I saw too as well, Coach, that he got hurt. He spent some time over there. But he's on our practice squad right now, and I don't know if you know this, but our kicking situation is horrendous. We cut Riley Patterson. We also had a situation that I just found out recently. I don't know how I didn't know this, that let me crack my Red Bull real quick, that when Brad Holmes came in the 2021 season, everybody was kind of shocked when Matt Prater signed with the Arizona Cardinals. And we were like, what's happening there? So it turns out that according from to the insiders that have inside knowledge to the organization, they said that Brad Holmes offered Prater a 1-year deal. It was the same amount of money or something like that, but he wanted the security of a 2-year deal. So that's what happened there. So we let him go because we didn't want to sign him to 2 years, which is weird to me because he's been money for us. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't want to lock down a kicker. Who wants to waste a draft pick on a kicker? Let's be real. I don't care if it's the 7th round. Who wants to do that? What's up, Nick says our kickers are freaking horrible. Hey, that's all facts. He may win the job then. He was going to be here before injury. Well, right now, Coach, we've got Ficken. We have, man, who is this other guy's name? Michael Badgley. We cut, and we also have someone else on our practice squad as well. I just read. We waived a couple, and we have Adric Rosas, and he's terrible. He's terrible. But this is our problem. We did this to ourselves. So there you go. The Detroit Lions sign Sam Ficken to the practice squad. I don't know who's going to have this title. Who's going to have the title of kicker after the bye week? Speaking of bye week, man, a lot of slow news, not a lot happening. I think I'm going to skip a video on Detroit Lions Syndicate today because I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. Plus, I made 2 yesterday, so I think I can take the day off and get back at this thing tomorrow. But we got a situation. Let's do this. Let's do this first. We're talking about the defensive turnaround, how the Detroit Lions can turn around their defense. Now, starting Monday, these videos are going to go over on, I'm going to do a live stream, and then I'm going to make videos and put them over on Detroit Sports Syndicate. And obviously, I'll be looking for some Red Wings people and stuff like that. So the Carolina Panthers decided to fire Matt Rule. And y'all might think Dan Campbell is safe. I don't think he's safe. I do not. The thing that I hear in my comment section is we signed him to somebody said a 7-year deal. It's not a 7-year deal. It's a 6-year deal. 6-year deal for him and a 5-year deal for Brad Holmes. Dan Campbell is not safe at all. You got the D'Amico Ryan out there, who I think he's going to be a hot candidate. I really do. I think Eric Bieniemy has gone the way of I think he's going to kind of be down, if at all, a candidate at all. But I think that D'Amico Ryan could be a candidate to be a head coach, especially if the Niners keep playing like they're playing. Absolutely. Now, I wanted Mike Vrabel, but, I wanted him before Matt Patricia. That's who I wanted over Matt Patricia, but, we in the past now. What's up, Kid Rapper? What's going on, man? What up, Grid? I agree Dan isn't safe. Some losses were unacceptable. Now, the fan base is torn right now, and we've been talking about Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes for the last 2 days, so I wanted to kind of pivot this today and talk about a defensive turnaround, because in all actuality, that's what's going to save the season. That's what's going to save his job. Not only the end of this year, but going into next year, where if we end with a 3-13, 3-14 record and our defense is ranked last, he's going to have a killer draft. I guarantee you that he's going to be at the end of his rope year 3. Jim says, I wanted Vrabel, then Sheila then Saleh after Matt Patricia. Yeah. Well, Saleh didn't want to come here, Jim. That's on him. We interviewed him and he chose the Jets. Nick says, I got a conspiracy theory that Campbell is just a placeholder while the team's getting built. Wow. Let's put that one on the screen. Nick, I don't think that's a conspiracy, bro. Nick, you just gave me a topic, bro. So let's talk about it. Nick says, I got a conspiracy theory that Campbell is just a placeholder while the team is getting built. Well, Nick, conspiracy, I don't think that's much of a conspiracy at all. I don't think that's because Brad Holmes was hired after Dan Campbell. So therefore, he's already not his guy. And I'm going to tell you what, if Dan Campbell is fired, I guarantee you 25 to 50% of the fan base will be more devastated than when we traded away our 12-year quarterback, Matthew Stafford. But I can agree with that wholeheartedly. He is a placeholder. He takes all the heat. He takes the brunt of the rebuilding, and then we let him go. Self-Made says, what coach is out there that we can grab? A lot of people keep talking about Sean Payton, but Sean Payton is still connected to the New Orleans Saints. He can't just get a job somewhere else. He's got obligations already. He stepped away. They didn't sever their contract. He stepped away. What's up, Bobby? Says, Grid, if Campbell is the placeholder, then who is the guy? That's a great question. And I think the end of year 2 and year 3, we're going to learn a lot. Because, see, when the heat starts coming on Brad Holmes, he's going to let the fire out on Dan Campbell. And that's 100%. He's going to let the fire out on Dan Campbell. Now, Dan Campbell has to turn this defense around. Shout out to Nick. Nick, I looked at the stats yesterday. We are last in points allowed, last in another category, and we are 31st in one category. It's like 3 different categories, and we're 32, 31, 32. But points allowed, we're still 32nd. So, here is some thought that people are talking about when it comes to the Detroit Lions. All right. A lot of heat has been coming out of Carolina with the firing of Matt Rule. People think that the Carolina Panthers are in full rebuild mode. They haven't been the same since that loss to the Super Bowl, right? So with Matt Rule being fired, it's coming up. The immediate reaction was, let's grab some people that the Carolina Panthers may be having a fire sale. Okay. Now this comes from Jay Glazer, and this was 2 days ago. So this was the day he got fired, which was Monday. He says teams will now be calling the Panthers, trying to trade for some of their players as they hope Carolina will look to stockpile picks as they build. Now, if you're keeping up with me, they fired Matt Rule. They have really no quarterback situation, right? So they are looking to potentially have a fire sale. Now, at this very moment, the Carolina Panthers heading into 2023 have I did not stutter, 4 draft picks. They have a first, a second, a fourth, and a fifth, which is why people are speculating. Shout out to Matt Millen, NFL draft scout. People are speculating that they could have a fire sale. Okay. With that being the potential, the possibility, according to Fansided, shout out to my guy Brad Behrman, love his work. He says 4 Panthers the Lions could potentially trade for. Okay. One of them, we'll just go in order from 4 to 1. Number 4 is cornerback CJ Henderson. Number 3 is defensive end Gross Matos. Okay. Number 2 is linebacker Shaq Thompson. And I already know who number 1 is. Number 1 is defensive end Brian Burns. Defensive end Brian Burns. So let's go over this again because this is interesting. Now, I put out a poll yesterday and people was like, we should go to the draft and we're not going to trade for Brian Burns. It was just to kind of figure out the room. It wasn't certain. It wasn't something that I would say do, but it wasn't certain. Now, the Lions have 2 first-round picks. I don't know how many we have for next year. We've got to talk about all that stuff. So I don't want to talk about the draft. That's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about potential Carolina Panthers that the Detroit Lions could trade for. Cornerback CJ Henderson, defensive end Gross Matos, linebacker Shaq Thompson, and defensive end Brian Burns. In the comments, any of those players you guys want. And if so, what would you be willing to give? Now, I think the number 1 player everybody's kind of looking for to help out Aiden Hutchinson is Brian Burns. But Burns carries a $4.3 million cap hit this year, and he's under contract via his 5th-year option through 2023 for $16.12 million. A new team would have to embrace him, give him a nice contract extension just to justify a premium draft pick. But Burns can be a long-term building block since he won't turn 25 until April. The Lions have Aiden Hutchinson and simply not much else in terms of a pass rush force looking beyond this season. In a broader sense, adding top young talent to the defense should be a top priority. Jim says, I like a Khalil Mack type of trade. Well, he already got traded, bro. Kenny, Jim Caldwell's coaching days are over. I officially have put a nail in the Jim Caldwell coffin. He won't ever come back here in any capacity. And unfortunately, he coached for the Lions, so his head coaching days in the NFL have passed. They're over. Nick says, Burns, Henderson, Horn, or Derek Brown. I like those guys. What, J.C. Horn? He just that we not about to. They not about to trade him. They'll trade Burns before they trade J.C. So Dan Campbell has to fix his defense. There's no doubt about it. Brad Holmes has a responsibility as well to fix this defense. And that's what we're looking at. Out of the bye week, the Detroit Lions face the potentially Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys. Either way, they're already underdogs, as they should be. We're 4th in the NFC North, and we can't seem to stop a runny nose. So Dan Campbell has to turn this defense around. The question I have is, can he? With the roster that we currently have, with the injuries that we currently have, can Dan Campbell turn this thing around? Which is why I don't know, man. I feel like a trade could be possible. I do. I didn't believe that yesterday, but looking at this defense, we have nobody to help. Our secondary is shot. Our linebackers are shot. We have one decent defender at every level. Defensive line, Isaiah Buggs is pretty solid. Aleem McNeil. But as far as a pass rush threat, we only got Aiden. Austin Bryant, he's doing okay. John Kaminsky went down. The whole thing fell apart. So we obviously need some defensive line help. And I'm not really thinking interior line. I'm thinking that defensive edge position. Nick says, I would trade the Rams a first and a fourth. For who? For which player? So Dan Campbell, I could see a potential trade. But I tell you what, if it's a trade that Brad Holmes, because let's be honest, Brad Holmes is in control of that. It's a trade he can't mess up. If he messes this up, that's going to be another blemish on his report, because Trinity Benson, as we discussed yesterday, was basically a gift. Rams pick and a fourth for Burns. Oh, Rams pick. I would trade the Rams first. There you go. So the Rams first. Okay, Nick, right now? I think the Rams are currently the 15th pick in the draft. So we are the third, the Rams are the 15th, and I'm not going to talk about who the Lions to draft. We're just talking about draft position at this point. Right now, if the Lions have the third pick in the draft and the Rams has the 15th, you would give up the 15th pick and the fourth for Brian Burns. So according to Pride of Detroit, awesome content over there. Got a lot of work, those guys put in a lot of work. Dan Campbell has a plan to turn the defense around. Now, according to Pride of Detroit, Detroit ranks 27th in PFF's pass rush grade and 31st in ESPN's pass rush win rate. They're on a 3-game skid. The Lions have managed a total of 1 sack during that skid. They also have the 3rd highest blitz rate in the NFL. The Detroit Lions have the 3rd highest blitz rate in the NFL. Now, the question I have for you, the viewer, why do they blitz so much? Why do you think they blitz so much? I think they blitz so much because they don't have the personnel in those second and third down levels of defense. I'm sorry, the second and third levels of defense. They can't stop anybody once they get the ball. If you get past that defensive line, you're gone. We had Alex Anzalone chase down, I want to say, Ramondre Stevenson last week after missing a tackle. Nick says because they got no pass rush. And that's why I don't understand. I understand the criticism of Aiden Hutchinson because he was the 2nd overall pick. So I get that. I don't know if anybody's talking about Trayvon Walker the same way they're critiquing Aiden Hutchinson. Could be because the Jaguars are 2-3. I don't know. But Aiden Hutchinson, we knew when we drafted him, we had no help. He has no help. He has no help. I'm going to say it 3 times for emphasis. He has no help. That's number 4. Malcolm Rodriguez is our best linebacker, and our best safety is out for the season. Kid Rapper 85 says, we need Okudah to come back. Romeo, according to Dan Campbell, Romeo ain't close. Levi Onwuzurike he not close either. There's nobody on this team that the Carolina Panthers will want. They're going to want that first. They're going to want draft capital, period. So the viewer, if you can type, let me know. Would you trade the Rams first, currently the 15th pick, and a 4th round pick for defensive end Brian Burns? Grid, I asked you this last time. If things have been like this forever in Detroit and it hasn't changed, what's it realistically going to take to change the Lions narrative? Well, Bobby, I could go into some conspiracy stuff, but I don't want to do that this show. It's going to take. See, here's what I have to say about that. Sheila, which is the new owner of the Lions, she took over for her mom. Her mom took over for her dad. The Lions have owned 1960, somewhere around 64-ish, somewhere around there. And I think it's too early to pull the plug on Sheila. I think Sheila Hamp is too early to put her in the category of her mom. So to answer your question, outside of the NFL narrative, which I do believe is a real thing, the team narrative, the local narrative is the Ford family. And up until Sheila, I would have to agree. But to me, I don't think outside of being sitting at the table while her mom made the decision to fire Jim Caldwell and the decision to hire Matt Patricia, I don't really hold her. I'm not coming at her like that. Nick says, I don't see how we can turn the defense around with this personnel. Well, according to Dan Campbell, he says there's a number of ways you can do it with either pressure, right? He says, so you're bringing 5 or 6 man pressure. You either just stunt or let them just fan out and let them go. So it looks like that he's going to change the scheme or something like that. He's going to try to, make things simpler and things like that. He says, but Campbell is already tinkering with the idea of changing the way they practice. Teams are allotted just 14 padded practices for the entire regular season, and the Lions have taken the last 3 weeks off. He says, I think we're going to need to pad up for stuff like that. We haven't padded up in 3 weeks, so we're going to need to do some of that. So it sounds like Dan Campbell he's stuck with this personnel too. He has to figure out how to make the defense work with this personnel. And here's the knock on Dan Campbell and why I think. See, I've been watching Dan Campbell, and I'm wondering if, like Nick, you said about how he's kind of a placeholder. I'm wondering if Dan Campbell is just saying the right things because he doesn't want to make his team look bad. But also, I see a difference from Dan Campbell last year when Dan Campbell was very honest about the outcome. He said, listen, the wins will come. He already was saying this year's a wash. Jared Goff said the gut punches will stop. So last year was like, we're not doing anything. But this year, he feels fully confident in his team. And outside of his bad play calling, you had KJ Osborne, who was wide open. But I think that's when you kind of knew the defense was bad, but you're like, this defense is horrible because there's no reason that he should have been that wide open. But then Dan Campbell put them in the situation that they did, that they were in. Nick says, would you sign Dee Ford or Everson Griffin? That is a fantastic question. I actually was thinking about Everson Griffin last week and how he's unemployed and how he's having a Kanye West moment, where we know something was wrong with him. And that's a good one. I don't know, Nick. And I love me some EG, bro. I love me some Everson Griffin, but he's so unpredictable, man, that I don't know if I would want him back. Everson Griffin was Matt Patricia's Hail Mary before he got fired. That's what that was. And we traded for him. We could have picked him up in free agency. Now he's a free agent. And how he was, his mental state, and how he was after he left us, Nick, the next year when the Vikings signed him, then he took the time off and came back. And he never came back. Now, Dee Ford, on the other hand, he's a possibility. Kenneth says, watch the Cardinals game from last year. What happened to that defense? Hey, Ken, okay, that defense had nothing to play for. That defense had nothing. We were 1-1. I agree with you. But if you think about it, they were playing just to be playing. But that's a good question. Amani O was playing fantastic. He had 6 interceptions last year. He was benched last game. He was 100% set down last game. So it makes you wonder what did happen to that defense. Essentially, the same guys are back. Jeff Okudah's in. Now we're missing Jerry Jacobs. We're missing a few players, I think. But it does make you wonder what happened to that defense. But I really believe it's because they had nothing to play for. So they were just out there playing the game. And I think this year it's too much overthinking. That's what I think. So Dan Campbell changing the practice plan, is that going to work? Because we come out, let me see what the Cowboys' offensive stats are. We come out against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, my question is, do you think it matters between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush at this moment? Timothy, what's up, man? Says Dan Campbell is very hands-on with his team. You can tell he loves his guys. The Lions just need to stay with the coach. They're not going to get any better. There's a coaching change every 3 years. Tim, I feel what you're saying. I do. But I think here's my honest opinion. I don't think y'all gonna like it, but I don't care. My honest opinion is our coach was Jim Caldwell. That was our coach, man. That was our coach. Since Wayne Fontes, Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz coached the Lions for 5 years. We fired him for Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell picked up where Schwartz left, still didn't get that playoff game. Schwartz went to what? Jim Schwartz went to 2. No, he went to 1, right? 2009 and 2013, something like that. And then Caldwell's first playoff game was the Dallas game. So I think since then, Matt Patricia was just a travesty. He was the bad move all the way around, but any Detroit Lions fan could see that coming. He was never going to work. What's up, DB? The Gibbler says, sorry, Grid, Detroit, the team that had Barry Sanders and still didn't win anything, poor play calling and average players again this season. Yeah, y'all got to stop saying sorry. This is my team by choice. No need to apologize. It's not like somebody died. If I marry the wrong person, that's my fault. If I pick this team, that's my fault. I appreciate you, bro, but this is a choice. I choose to support this team. So don't feel sorry for me. I do this to myself. But the Dallas Cowboys, who do you think you would rather see, Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott? Me, I'm taking Rush all day. But the Lions traded Nick Fairley and Sue. Okay, that was a big punch in the jaw. Timothy, they did not trade Sue. Sue was a free agent and he left. Sue left after the Dallas Cowboy loss in the playoffs. He took a big giant payday with the Miami Dolphins. So we didn't trade away Sue. He left on his own. And he has never come back. He has never even looked. 8 years ago, Ndamukong Suh left, and he has never come back. What's up, Jonathan? Lions fans can't come up with a logical reason why Caldwell was let go. Well, yes, they can. Yes, they can. In their minds, it's logical. He couldn't get us over the hump. Listen, sometimes I can be a sick man. I can be a sick man sometimes, and sometimes I can be a little evil. And as much as I want this team to win, I think that, you know how people call it, some people call it one thing, I call it reaping what you sow. That's what I call it. And in my opinion, the Lions are reaping what Matt Patricia was a direct reaping of firing Jim Caldwell. And every single Lions fan that said he couldn't take us over the hump, and they go back to some dumb play call of 12 men on the field, or he didn't know how to clock manage. You see what we have now? Do you see what we had after that? Do you see what we had after that? A guy who didn't even shave. We have not been the same since we fired Jim Caldwell. And I like that his name keeps coming up. You know how you get it out our mouths? You win games. The Lions have not won 7 games since he got fired, which was 5 years ago. His name should come up more often. Keep bringing it up. Keep bringing it up. What's up, Josh? Fun fact, Ford officially took ownership of the Detroit Lions November 22nd, 1963, the day Kennedy was shot and killed. Josh, that is 100% facts. I remember reading that. I know how you feel. I'm a Bears fan, still trying to get over not picking Mahomes. Yeah, that one was tough. Trading up, yeah, that one right there, that's going to be a tough one to swallow right there. No, Tim, it's all good, bro. It's all good. What's up, Inez? How you doing? Says, can the Lions, Mr. Poole, what's up, man? Says, can the Lions save the season with the defensive turnaround? Yes. Will they add more pieces in the defensive to help them with the turnaround? No. Probably not. 1 out of 2. The reason why we say sorry is because you're like family to us. And when you heard Donnell, that's cool, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate. I never thought of it like that. So it's like, sorry, I get it. I get it, man. I appreciate that. Brad and Dan are developing all for develop. Brad and Dan are all for the developing of their own talent, but also won't add to it. Well, that's a recipe for failure, Mr. Poole. And then it says Russ should keep playing. Quinn wanted his boy not being able to get over the hump was an excuse. Nick, I like you more and more every day, bro. I do, because you are a smart individual. You saw all through all that nonsense. That's exactly what you. This is what I think happened. Jim Caldwell, Matt Patricia was like, man, I gotta say something, bro. What, man, we about to go live for this press conference. Because you know he loved to say 9-7 wasn't good enough. Matter of fact, no, that's not what was said. He said, what did he say? He said he never said 9-7 wasn't good enough. We turned it into that. Oh, he said 9-7 was our record and something, and we can't beat the good teams. That's what he said. He said 9-7, something, and we can't beat the good teams. And we have not done that since. And I love it. I love it, bro. You fire a winning coach because just like YouTubers can influence y'all that Jared Goff is a horrendous quarterback, and YouTube can influence you to do this, and people can influence you to do one thing or another. We fired him because Bob Quinn influenced Martha, who was 90-something years old. I think she was 90 at the time, 91, 92, that, you know what? This guy with this beard over on this team can come over and we can win. And that's why Sheila said, nope, you're gone too. Derek Carr will find. Wait, what does that say, D? What does that say? Mahomes would have struggled with the Bears. O-line. Devontae, I agree, but he still would have been Patrick Mahomes. That's 100% fact. Dan might need to bring someone to help him with coaching decisions. You think Sean Payton would come to Detroit? Okay, David, so you're late. Sean, listen, we got to let this Sean Payton thing go. Sean Payton is connected to the New Orleans Saints. He cannot go anywhere he wants. It's going to be an aggressive type of situation to bring him anywhere. He's like Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson walked away from the Lions. He is still legally bound to the Detroit Lions. Quinn said nine wins was not nearly good enough for what we want. Sean Payton is a dream, and we got to let that dream go. He will not come here. He is still bound to the New Orleans Saints. He did not retire. He stepped away. So he is still connected to them. It doesn't matter what practice regime Dan Campbell comes up with if the Lions can't stop the run to save their lives and have no pass rush. My thing is this. You know, I was very hard on Jeff Okudah, and I'm going to bring that same heat to Aiden Hutchinson. I really will. I think with Aiden performing the way he is 5 games in, the Aiden detractors, they're having a fantastic field day right now. They love the fact that he's underperforming. But how about that after week 2, Aiden Hutchinson was the second most double team defensive end in the league. A rookie. The Lions made the right decision with Aiden. I don't regret it at all. It's the other 4 people on the line. Where is Romeo? Where is Julian? Where is Onwuzurike? Where's everybody else? You know what? I'm thinking about this. And I think that the next time Brad Holmes, you know what? I don't know. I'm having a moment right now. I'm having is Brad Holmes on the phone with somebody now? I say yes. Will he pull the trigger? First of all, will Carolina, with 4 draft picks heading into, you know what? This is getting more intriguing. What's up, Daniel? What's going on, man? Did you change your name or yes, a new channel? Honestly, what's up, Zay? Says, I honestly hope we cut Brockers and Romeo next year. Will open a lot of cap. Well, I think Brockers is he was a non-factor. That was another Brad Holmes mistake, Michael Brockers. So somebody said yesterday in our show that Dan Campbell was not crushing it like it appears, like everybody's saying he is. And I agree. Brockers was a mistake. Trinity Benson was a mistake. Nick says Holmes knows how to finesse a deal. That's facts. Brockers has been invisible since he got here, bro. Since he set foot in Detroit. What's up, Jason? Says, yo, what's up? Snuck into the break room at the Mercedes plant to hear what you have to say. Appreciate that, Jay. Jay, before you go, bro, I keep missing your comment. Any relation to Josh Trojanowski, or are you the same guy? Get back to work. Yeah, so if you're just now joining us, man, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I've let YouTube numbers and analytics and stuff like that get in my way. And, I feel like Woodward Sports has invaded our space. That was something we were supposed to do. When I say we, I mean myself and other content creators. We were supposed to do that. But ego and all that stuff it always wins, right? So I've decided to start the Detroit Sports Syndicate, where I'm going to try to get creators to contribute and have shows, because I may talk about the Pistons. I'm not talking about the Red Wings. I'm not talking about the Detroit Tigers. I can't stand baseball, but if the Tigers are in it, I will support them and watch that game. 100%. Okay, I see the comment. All right, man. It was just the weirdest thing, man. It was a dude a couple years ago. His name was Josh Trojanowski, and I'm like, okay, who comes up with that name? So I thought you might have been him, or maybe in relation to him. Zay says Anzalone and Brockers are main vets. That's sad. Levi ain't coming back, says Mr. Poole. Not at this rate. Romeo is on his way back to looking the same. Dan mentioned Jacobs, Pasco, Williams, and Kabinda on their way back. But here's the thing. When it comes to offense, is offense really our problem? We get DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams back by Thanksgiving. I don't think that's the problem. But Josh Pascal, he got to stop the run, get to the quarterback. Is he going to help Hutchinson out? Somebody said in yesterday's show that if he's the best player on defense, why isn't he doing more? Anthony says Woodward Sports are 97.1 wannabes. I never listen to them. I don't listen to them either. I don't listen. I can't even understand how people let Adam talk to people the way that he does. I don't, but, and not to mention that I don't care, because I'll never be on their show, but I was never asked. I'm one of the biggest and the best to do it in this space. And they've never asked me ever to be on their show. That's because people don't like the way I do things, and that's cool. I'll do my own thing. I always have. Always have. I've never been a saddle rider like other people that I know. So I just leave it at that. But don't worry, because when Greg puts his mind on something, Greg don't stop. I was one of the first to do it in this space. Do it professional, and I ain't done. I'm just getting started. I want to have a studio and everything. So eventually I'm going to be on camera. But we started the new channel. I'm going to start putting stuff over there. Okay, here we go. Nick says Sean Payton can coach for a new team in 2025 without having to compensate the Saints. Nick, there you go. Nick, if I start a website, bro, I'm going to need you, bro, because Nick is a massive contributor. I appreciate that. There you go. So cease the Sean Payton talk, because the Detroit Lions ain't compensating no one. Right now, we need to be worried about this defense. And will they pull the plug on a trade? Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have to look forward to. Jason says Adam is a loudmouth, but they let Dose on there. He's his good takes, and I like your show, and he is the most. Yeah, that's cool. Look, I'm not the only one that they're not the only ones that passed on me. There's another Detroit cat out there who ignored me beyond belief. And I'm not, so that's okay. That's okay, because I am tickled by disrespect. I am fueled by disrespect, and disrespect will drive me until I am no longer breathing. I am, as a matter of fact, St. Brown is me. Amon-Ra St. Brown is me. all 16 receivers that was taken before him, do your thing, big dog, because that's how you become a dog. You remember the people that came before you. That's how you do it. You remember the people that you keep getting overlooked for because they ride saddles and you don't. See, it's easy to, and it's going left real quick, but it's easy to get on top when you're looking to ride and when you're hanging and swinging, okay? Fellas know what I'm talking about. When you're hanging and swinging, it's easy to climb up. Beantown Breakdown says, hold on. Defense has been a major Achilles heel of your Lions forever. You can win games if you can't stop the other team. Well, Bobby, not forever, bro. I would say about 8 years, but not forever. It's been like that for quite a while. It's been like that for quite a while because we can't just seem to get it right. Stop doing that. You know I ain't passed you yet. Yeah. Yeah, it's people that hang and swing, bro. They'll do anything possible to get noticed at all. But instead of building their own thing, they got to go anyway. We getting sidetracked. You know I can go that way. But the Detroit Lions, they might have to pull the trigger. But here's my thing on a trade. If Brad Holmes misses, it's going to be a problem because he missed with Trinity Benson. He missed with Michael Brockers. The Denver Broncos got Trinity Benson for free. They got 2 draft picks and Trinity Benson right back. They signed him to the practice squad on Monday. When it comes to, we're talking about evaluating talent, right? A lot of y'all don't like Jared Goff. Y'all can't stand Jared Goff. But Jared Goff, Brad Holmes was one of the reasons that they moved up 13 spots to draft Jared Goff. Mr. Poole says, specific example was Braylon saying to pick Malik Willis in the draft to change the franchise. 2 weeks later, he went on about how Willis was a dumb idea to pick. Yeah, everybody was out. I said I thought he could have went as high as 2. But if the Lions would have taken him, that would only be if they traded out of 2. If they took him, I was going to have a fit. A lot of wishy-washy people on this platform as well. What if they trade for the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins? Now that's been coming up. Sometimes you got to cut the coattail riders free. Yeah. Yep, Bobby, yeah. But it's the difference in being a coattail rider and a saboteur. Like, I'm talking about people who will sabotage one thing and coattail, no. They riding anyway. Let me stop before I get canceled. Okay. So it's been coming up that Brian Flores, okay. You think that the Detroit Lions, and this ain't directed to you, Dave. This not directed to it. But are you talking about Flores? Yes, Donnell. You know what? I'm glad you said that, bro. I need to do that. I'll do that right after this. Jalen Reeves Maven, he signed with the Texans. He left in free agency. You know what, Donnell? I still got to figure out how I did, man. I don't even know how I did. Yes, Mr. Poole. So that was Brad Behrman yesterday, Deuce Staley, Leslie Frazier, Brian Flores, or D'Amico Ryan. I think D'Amico Ryan's going to be a hot candidate next year. I think he's going to be the new Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is the Chiefs offensive coordinator. I think that D'Amico Ryan, he got that swag. The 49ers defense are playing lights out, man. They're like top 3, top 5 right now. I think D'Amico Ryan can be a hot candidate. Do you think we could trade TJ Hockenson and a second rounder for defensive end Brian Burns? I don't like giving up a first for that guy, but he averages 7 to 9 sacks a year. Okay, Oak, I can't part with Hawk. I cannot part. I don't think anybody on the team. And who's the Carolina tight end? I don't think I'm not ready to part with Hawk just yet. I'm not. They picked up his 5th-year option. He's in year 4, and I'm not ready. I think we got to discuss a trade for Hockenson next year. But then next year you have the fact that he'll be a free agent and yada yada. He'll have to probably get traded with the condition that he signs. Same thing to Brian Burns, because weren't they taken in the same draft? TJ and Brian? Yep. Nick says Carolina is going to want pick, not players. That's facts. That's exactly right. 100%. They're going to want, they have, if you just now joining us, the Carolina Panthers, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. The Carolina Panthers have 4 draft picks in 2023, which is why this is a conversation. With the firing of Matt Rule, and a lot of teams think they're in a fire sale. They have a first, a second, a fourth, and a fifth. We don't know where yet, as far as they have to finish where they finish. And right now, the Carolina Panthers pick after the Detroit Lions in the draft. So I agree. 4 picks. Didn't the Rams start off with 4 picks in the 2022 draft? So I could see Brad Holmes seems to be a little thrifty, a little tight. And I could see him pulling the trigger. Now, let me see. No, that's not something I want to talk about, because I don't want to do that. I could see him trying to cook something up, but he can't miss, because if he misses, then not a single trade. If you think about his tenure with the Detroit Lions, right now, not a single trade has worked out. You trade for Trinity Benson, everybody was like, who? Now he's back with the Denver Broncos for free. You traded for Michael Brockers. He's not doing anything. You traded during the draft to get Jamison Williams, and he's hurt. His timetable is 6 weeks away, guys. 6 weeks away. We're talking about Thanksgiving is when the Jamison Williams timetable is probably looking to be. That's when he'll be ready for game action. Now we are stuck. So if he makes a trade at this moment, it's got to work. So do I think Brian Burns works? I do. What will Carolina want for them? That's a very good question. I'm going to tell you what. This is why I blew my gasket. Or Yosemite Sam would say I blew my stack when we traded up for Jamison Williams. You know how you get better on defense? With a bunch of picks. A bunch of picks. We didn't make any moves in free agency. We got a bunch of picks. We had 2 first-round picks, and we traded them away for Jamison Williams. Well, we traded 1 away. We traded that first-round pick away for Jamison Williams. We got number 12. It was number 46. It was the fact that we had 32 and 36, and our defense is exactly where it was when that trade happened. Now, if he would have made some moves in free agency, a Bobby Wagner, I'm not saying these guys wanted to come here, a Tyrann Mathieu, positions of need that we get players that can make an immediate impact, then you don't see me blow my stack. Beantown says, y'all should be shopping Hockenson now. I know it's going to suck to get rid of him, but at least you know you're going to get a good return. If we do that, Bobby, we have no tight end. We got Zylstra, we've got Brock Wright, and we've got James, another hurt tight end Mitchell. What I do, Dave? What I do? So we were set in last year's draft for Hutch, a starting linebacker and defensive back. Gave it up for a dude who can't beat press man coverage with sus hands, bitch warmer. See, are we talking about Hutchinson? What are we? Oh, you mean? Or who are you talking about there? So do you know who's coming back week 7? Vision. Supposedly, Josh Pascal could be ready. Swift should be good, and Amon-Ra was 85% when he played on Sunday. So remember, he set out a game, played at 85% bye week. He should be at 100. Oh, J-Mo. Well, that's what happened. Now, okay, so Jason, no, sir, because the money wasn't right. The money wasn't right for me to go, bro. The money was not right. And last year, man, I was on this Stafford like this. I got to see us play Stafford. That's the one thing. I knew we were going to be whack, but if we could have beat that dude, that's all I care about. It would have made my year perfect because I knew we were going to be trash. So I just wanted us to beat Matthew Stafford. It didn't happen, but I had the time of my life. I would go back. I would do it all over again. With Dallas, one reason I couldn't go is A, the money. 2, B, I didn't have a contact. See, what made California plausible is I had a dude down there who literally showed me the city. He came and picked me up from the Airbnb every day. We went to the game. We went to the game, but sat in different places. And by being blessed, we actually, shout out to a subscriber who watches the channel. He had 2 friends that didn't show up, and he gave us their tickets in section 1. Like it was phenomenal. I had the straight nosebleeds seats. So that's what happened there. So that's why I'm not going to Dallas. Zay says, I'm not so mad about no big name free agents because we had limited money to work with. True. I'm more mad about the injured second rounders. That's a good point. I told you, now I finally heard you say it. Dwayne, what you talking about, man? Says, good week to regroup for God's sake, and let's chill on these 4th round clowns. Well, Steven, so we coming in, we talking about Brian Burns because somebody online suggested that the Carolina Panthers could be having a fire sale and we trade for Brian Burns. It was 4 people we could trade for: a cornerback, a linebacker, and Brian Burns. So my thing is, yes, Jerry Jacobs will be back too. And it's a shame that an undrafted free agent is who we're looking to come back. That's a shame. Like, we're longing for him to come back. So could Brad Holmes be cooking something? Because as somebody brought up earlier in the show, the defensive personnel currently will not turn this defense around. How much do you think Josh Paschal, Romeo may not come back? They might have to put him on season-ending IR. How much do you think Josh Paschal is going to change? Our team is exactly where it's going to be. David says, they might need to cut ties with Levi because his back is not going to get any better. They might, man. They might have to do that. And I feel sorry for Levi because he never got the shine. Oh, coming out of Lions Twitter, the Lions have signed wide receiver Maurice Alexander to the practice squad. So he is on, he cleared waivers and he's back to the practice squad. So good for that young man. He had 100 and something yards, I think, returning last week. So good for him. Good for him. Welcome back. That's what and that's what the Lions did with Riley Patterson, and look what happened there. What's up, Tate? What's going on, man? Zay says, I think Josh can be an impact player, just needs some time on an NFL field. As a fan, I will stay the course, of course. As a fan, I will stay the course, go Lions. I'm saying it sounds like just fix this one more thing and we'll be right there. But oh, wait, there's more to fix. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's always more to fix. There's always more to fix, D, all the time, man. But I think the pressure is starting to mount on both these guys. I think that Dan Campbell is the scapegoat for Brad Holmes. He is not his guy. Brad Holmes will be retained unless he just completely whips. Like, he would have to just bomb, because if you look at it, his draft picks have not been stellar. So I'm like, I don't think he goes. I think Dan goes, the city crumbles, we hire some guy and go from there. Grid, how long of a leash does Sheila have before you turn the heat up on this regime? That's a good question. So I said this yesterday, Bobby. Dan is beloved. Jim Caldwell was loved. Dan Campbell is beloved. We love this guy. The city, the media, Sheila, the Ford organization absolutely love him. He got a 6-year deal. They hired Brad Holmes after Dan Campbell. He got a 5-year deal. Turn up the heat on this regime, year 3. Year 3. That's my honest belief. Year 3, this regime, and when I say it's more of Dan Campbell, but I think what haunts Brad Holmes is the aforementioned bad trades. Trinity Benson. Steven, everybody has asked that same question, and I'm going to go and I'm going to let actually you're saying it. Get the TJ to the Saints for Sean Payton rights. Let's do it. That ain't going to be enough. Sean Payton is probably the most coveted coach right now who's not coaching. He is by far, I have heard his name more in the last 48 hours than I've heard it since we fired Matt Patricia. We got Cowboys, Miami, then Packers. We could be staring down a 1-7 start. Now, before we wrap the show up, because we are our, thank you guys so much, man. If you are just joining us, these next week will go on Detroit Sports Syndicate. I'm trying to get into this space, man. This is supposed to be our space. This is not supposed to be Woodward Sports' space. This is supposed to be regular people, our space. So I finally decided to put my hat in the ring. My goal is to get creators and let's have some shows. Man, I've always wanted to do. We will start taking phone calls as well. And I'm not going to hang up on you if you don't agree with my opinion. Unless you're disrespectful, then I have to hang up. Do you think we should really focus on defense in the 2023 draft since our offensive line looks solid? Absolutely, Stealth. Absolutely. I've been saying defense since I've been on this platform, and I think now everybody else will as well. David says, hey, Greer, do you think we should keep Big V or let him look at – no, he got to go. Big V has to go. Our offensive line hasn't played a snap together ever. He got to go. I'm all for Big V being shown the door. I don't know what the financials of that is, but I'm all for him being shown the door, bro. He got to go. 100%. So here's what I have to say before we get off. The Lions are in a sticky situation. And we got to have a real conversation. What about Jeremy Chan? You got to remind me who that is, Nick. Okay, Mr. Poole says you got a schedule. I'm busy a lot during the days, so I don't notice the streams being up usually. Oh, so Mr. Poole, no, right now on that channel, I do want to have one. It'll be earlier though. I know Woodward has 3 shows. They got like 3 shows and stuff like that. I'm only a one-man show. It'll be an hour, and it'll probably be all Lions until we can get a Pistons dude. I haven't been talking about the Pistons, man, since 2008. They have not interested me at all. I watched them get swept by the Milwaukee Bucks a few years ago, and that was it, man. I'm an old school dude. Joe Dumars, Isaiah, even the going to work Pistons, Chauncey Billups. I had a Chauncey jersey, but the Panthers safety. But for what though? Anthony says terrified the team will move out of Detroit. Yep. Do you think Dan could at least call Sean Payton to get some coaching advice and clock management? Maybe. But could he do that? I wonder if there's some type of stipulation inside of the contract, because the Saints ain't very happy he walked away. And to see him in the coaching capacity in any way, they will have a natural fit. That brother just left them hanging. So the Lions, let's do this before we get off. We'll wrap it up. The Lions are on a bye week this week. They come out of the bye week. They go to Jerry World, and they face potentially Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott. With Rush, he hasn't lost as a starter. With Dak, you got to worry about his feet, and you also have to worry about, but he could have issues gripping the ball. So that's one thing. They lose that, they're 1-5. They then host the Miami Dolphins, who kind of skidding right now, but how do you break a skid? You play the Detroit Lions. That's 1-6. The Packers are at home. Aaron Rodgers is beatable. The Giants showed you that, but that's 1-7. Okay. Now I will say this. One of the things that keeps me going this year is I had the most wacky record prediction of the Lions that you could have seen. Okay. Let's go over it real quick, and then we'll wrap the show up. Hopefully we'll be on tomorrow and Friday, and then Saturday we'll start these shows on the other channel. And I'm going to then take clips and try to have a structured show, and then I can take clips and put them. And then eventually we'll bring in segments and all that and phone calls. And then we will, hopefully I can build some type of studio set, and we'll be into that. Okay, so let's do this, and we'll get off. Now I want to show you my screen, but I hate the fact that it shows all you my tabs and all this stuff and stuff like that. So we're looking down right now, because I rather listen, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'd rather talk about how the Lions can make the playoffs than talk about the draft. I'd rather talk about how the Lions can make the playoffs than talk about the draft. I refuse to do that. As a Cowboy fan, don't worry about the offense. The defense is the offense of the team. Hey, Shiesty, yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence is having a field day, man. Oh, fool. I wanted him when he left, when he was up. I think his contract was up a few years ago or something, and I'm glad we didn't get him because his attitude, I think, wouldn't fit here. But he's still a stud, man. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna look at the schedule and we're gonna see. I'm gonna show you guys the wackiest kind of what I said for the Lions. Now let me bring this in. You know what? I'll bring it in. Share screen. We'll do this, and then I'll bring this in. Add to stream. Oh, that's right. I can't. I got to remove this overlay. I hate that. That's the one thing about the overlay. Okay, let me move this real quick. Nope, not that one. Where's it at? Okay, nope, overlay. Hide. Okay. All right. So here's the wackiest. This is what I had the Lions doing. Losing, winning, losing, winning, losing. Right? So I had them 2-5. I'm sorry, 2-3 going into the bye week. Now here's where it gets insane. This is insane. Okay. I had them losing to Dallas. That is 2-4. I had them losing to the Dolphins. That's 2-5. I had them losing to the Packers. That's 2-6. This is where the turnaround, quotation marks that you can't see me doing. This is where the turnaround began to happen. I had them beating the Chicago Bears. That's 3-6. I had them beating the New York Giants. Remember, this is early season. That's 4-6. I had them losing to the Buffalo Bills. That's 4-7. Beating the Jacksonville Jaguars, air quotes. That is 5-7, right? Or is that right? I had them losing here, I think, for a 5-8. I had them beating them 6-8, beating them 7-8, beating them 8-8. I'm missing a game. Nope. Yep. And then so one of these I had switched around. Beating the Packers, I think at least once. 9-8. Because this one is at Lambeau. So I had them. That's why I'm trying not to panic, because this is how I picked it. I picked it on this ridiculous run, and that was based off of last year's winning percentage, right? But these teams are good, are not horrible. This team is better than us right now. This team is the same. This team is better. They have a winning record. This team leads the division. This team is 2-3. They're better than us right now. This team, we going to get spanked. This team has a 4-1 record. Now, we don't see them for another, 6 weeks. So things can change. People can get hurt. This team is so like I said, and I think I had us beating the Vikings once, something like that. And that's the difference. That is the difference between those. So my thing is, the season is not necessarily over, but if they don't do something on defense, it will be. So if you're watching this on playback, let me know, should the Detroit Lions trade for Brian Burns? And if so, what would you give up? But before I do that, let me answer everybody's questions. Sean Payton is a hypocritical cheater. I'll pass. Well, he's not coming here anyway. You don't have to worry about that. There are some things. Brian Burns is more likely to come here before get traded than Sean Payton coming here. Need to beat the Cowboys if we even want a shot at the playoffs. Doesn't get easier from there. And the sad part, Zay, is it should have. If you looked at last year's record, it should 100% be easier. But you got a better shot when the Packers lose to the Giants and Aaron Rodgers is running away with the division. That's true. That's true. I think I'll just say this and we'll wrap it up. Appreciate y'all, man. Is that the Detroit Lions, they're not out of this, but they got to fix the defense. The offense is not the problem. They got to fix the defense. They need one stop. They need one turnover. They need something. And Dan Campbell has got to do a better job coaching. So 1-4 going into the bye week, coming out playing the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not confident in this game. Never have been. Never have been. But if they can win, Dan Campbell had a good point, and I want to hold on to hope right now because there is a lot of football left, and teams are not running away. The Vikings are having a run right now, but I think we've seen Kirk Cousins. We've seen them collapse, right? So I think that the Lions are not out. Soon they will be. Soon it will become unrealistic, but they got to win. Here's what I'll say. And I'm going to hang my, where's this at? I'm going to hang my head. Okay, hang my head. That's not how you say that. Hang my hat. And we'll wrap this thing up. All right? I'm going to hate this right here. Okay. They come out of this, they regroup. It don't get any easier than right here. People get healthy, you get to come back. All right. These next 3 games define the season. You know what? 4 games. We'll make that 4. This is a beatable team. This is a beatable team. Even the way we are, this is a beatable team. All right. Beating the Green Bay Packers is possible at Ford Field. Anything is possible at home. That's 100%. So I'm not saying they will. I'm saying what's a possibility. These next 4 games define the season. They don't dig themselves out of the hole out of here. So you're talking about 1-5, 1-6, 1-7, 1-8, 1-8 week 10. That's first overall pick territory. Or I think the Lions, to have a shot at saving the season, they've got to go 2-2. They've got to be 3-6. And I think that's close. What y'all think? 3-6. Obviously 4-5 would be fantastic, or 5-4, right? But I think 3-6 is the bare minimum. 2-7, even though I called this wacky schedule, I didn't have them 2-7. So what do y'all think before we get off? It's over. We expect too much from a losing team. Well, it ain't over, Jizz, because we still watching and they still playing. And I'm not, that's one thing I'm not, bro, is a quitter. I'm not saying anybody else is. What you choose to do is what I didn't watch them. See, my thing is this. When the season is lost, that's when mentally it's hard for me to stay put. I love this. If the Lions were in it, they had a shot week 18, I would be all in. I would be all in because that's what I live for. I don't live for watching talent and watching this and we'll get them next year. I live as long as there's a chance. Now, last year, it was just win a game, right? What's up? Ice Cold says there does need to be an overall defensive shakeup on the defense and wake up on the offense. Well, I mean, the offense had a bad game. I'm not mad at them. They were outcoached by the greatest of all time. And my gripe is they let our old coach hand us a goose egg, and that's unacceptable. If Jared Goff can't connect, how did he with TJ Hockenson? I'm around at the beginning of the season. Listen, I just say Jared Goff ain't the problem, bro. He needs an offensive line and he needs a defense. So with that being said, you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for the support for the show. Monday, these shows will be on Detroit Sports Syndicate starting Monday. I will try to buckle down on a time. Maybe I'll put a community tab out as to what you guys want to see. So if you haven't subbed, then sub. Gia says, so answer me this. You don't feel like this is robbing the fan of Detroit? Of course I do. Giz, I've answered that question before. Of course I feel like that, but we still here. We still here. You think, look, me or you not watching the Lions, not buying a jersey, not buying a ticket, it ain't enough to make a difference. The Lions had the worst fan attendance in 2021, and they sold out opening day 2022. You got to realize, bro, we can't change this. It would take every fan on the planet to change this. You know what the Lions did because they had the worst attendance? They did not raise ticket prices. That's what they did. They didn't go out and do something in free agency. In 2019, do y'all remember the open letter to fans from Sheila Hamp? Anybody remember that? During Matt Patricia's heading into his last year. The open letter to fans. Once she did that, I said, listen, she's got to fire these guys. If she don't, she's a liar. And that's what started to restore my faith in this team. But then you go with the offseason that we had, the dumb draft moves that we could have made, and the Trinity Benson going back to Denver for free, and now you have a 1-4 record. So there you go. If you're going to stop watching or I'm going to stop watching, it doesn't matter. Because people going to buy cardboard cutouts in the pandemic year that cost $150. People going to go to tickets and sell out. They didn't raise the prices because they said the product was not good on the field. And this year is no different at all. One or two fans ain't going to change this, Jizz. We've been talking about this for 60 years. Well, Jizz, I got a whole different channel. I had a whole different subject about that, bro. A whole different subject. I think that the NFL does want us to win. I do. Because if you look at these calls, I think they do. I think they're trending our way. That's one thing I still think is the case. Comment Sex says, I'm done, Grid. I can't do this anymore. I've been listening to promises and told to stay patient since the well, Combat, you know what, bro? I respect that. And big ups to you. Kudos to you. And I hope you mean it. Don't check your phone. Don't read the articles. Don't listen to videos. Don't come back. Don't come back, bro. 100%. And I say that with love because you deserve that. Don't let them lure you back in. If you done, say you done, bro. If they wouldn't have fired Bob Quinn with Matt Patricia, my channel would not exist. Detroit Lions Syndicate would not be a thing. If they wouldn't have fired that man with that other man, I would have been done because that would have told me you're a liar. Open letter to fans, my behind. You're a liar. And the reason I am back today is because Sheila started winning my confidence back, firing both of those guys at the same time. And then the dude came in here and hyped us all up. And he still got time to win back the fan base because, let's be real, he's losing the fan base. 100%. No matter what you hear, no matter what you read, he is losing the fan base. So if you're going to walk away, Combat, walk away. Free yourself of this team. Escape this dungeon, this prison, this what is this, man? This tenant cycle of all of us. Because every year, including myself, we get sucked back in. I'm only here because I believe. The minute I don't, I am out, bro. I'm done. I'm never going to tell you something I don't believe. Ever. For money, for views, for content, nothing. I think this is part of being a fan. This is what being a fan is about, the heartache and the pain. Because when you win, it makes it that much sweeter. It does. But some of us have died, man. This junk is serious. Some of us have died and haven't witnessed anything. At least I was alive when we got our last playoff win. Nick says, I gave up in 2019 and came back. Being a Lions fan is like being an addict. And that's exactly what they want. That's exactly how they get you, Nick. They regionalize all the teams and make you root for them and make you, you know why? Because when the Lions win the Super Bowl, you're going to be like, that's my team. You're going to wear their merchandise proud wherever you go. We represent, I support the Super Bowl champions. That's why people was desperate enough to wear a Detroit Rams shirt. The most blasphemous thing I have ever seen being a fan is that shirt. And yet Lions fans were wearing it. That is a disgrace, bro. And we should have a whole topic about that stupid shirt. You are a fan of Matthew Stafford or you're a fan of the Detroit Lions. You can't be both if he doesn't play for this team. So if you want to walk away, I commend you. Walk away, never look back. Never come back. Because when you come back, it's going to be worse than when you left. Because what did they do to bring you back in? We done went way over our time, but I appreciate y'all, man. Have a good day. This is not directed at you, Sack. You know that, bro. This is saying free yourself and be done. Stop coming back. Okay? Stop it. Stop coming back. But we can't, though. We can't. I will catch y'all tomorrow.